It's a BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Jara.
All these questions are about Lumina and Void from Sonic Shuffle. Is this conveniently timed? Maybe not. Here's this one from Major Bunny. To start us off, we've got a few standard questions before we get to Jara's. What recipes would Void and or Lumina submit for the cookbook if they could?
Okay, you remember Hook, the Robin Williams movie where Peter Pan grows up and goes back to Neverland?
Yeah.
You remember the whole sequence where the Lost Boys are eating imaginary food?
Yeah.
And then it's not there until you actually imagine it?
The imaginary mush? Yeah.
Yes. That is what they cook.
Nice. They can cook. The movie rules. I don't care what anybody says. That movie's awesome. Like,
it's fantastic.
Like,
I will fight somebody on that.
Yeah. That movie got trashed, I think, when it had just come out. But it's like, no, this is a fantastic movie. What's wrong with you?
Pearls before swine.
Oh, man. Now I just want to watch Hook again. All right, here's a question from Mighty Ray. Would Illumina get to hang out with the other odd deities and magical beings like the Keeper of the Time Stones or Shara? Do all the monsters Void created still hang around after he and Lumina fuse back into Illumina? Can Illumina summon them to protect her?
I know these are mostly jokey, but I'm actually considering this. Like, if Illumina is the goddess of dreams and dreams extend, like, how far does Imaginary World extend? Does it go to all dreams and all realities, or is it just Sonic's reality? Can it cross over into the Set AM continuity for the Timekeeper to be there? Can it reach into 1001 Arabian Nights? Can she talk to Shara? I mean, the whole story is about people's dreams and aspirations. Does that count? What are the limits to the magic, Kyle?
There is no limit to the magic, except there is no magic in Sonic's world.
For the nightmare creations, I would think that they still exist, because that's kind of what defines the good dreams, is the antithesis, which is the nightmares. And that was the crisis of conscience that broke Illumina apart to begin with. So I guess they're still there. It's kind of like not a malicious thing, but it's just kind of like the nature of dreams. And if Illumina is controlling the realm, maybe she can control them if she needs to.
Well, there you go. All right, here's a question from Pedanticat. What do you think of the fact that Cosmo looks similar to Lumina and Void? Would you want to do something with that story-wise?
No. They share similar design aesthetics.
I mean, I guess...
Look, I like to connect the dots. I do, but these dots aren't even in the same coloring book.
I mean, it's Sonic. That's one coloring book, for what that's worth.
It's part of the coloring book library, but they're from different volumes.
I guess.
And this analogy is stretched to the screaming point.
Well, fine. Be like that. This is a question from Virtual Edge. If I recall correctly, Void and Lumina, if they were allowed in IDW in the first place, would be saved for a Knights crossover. If this got shut down by Sega, would you consider alternative ideas?
Oh, sure. That's part of a pitch I would make. But if Sega said no, then, oh well, move on to something different.
Sega say no. Sega say no. Don't say no. Please, Sega, please don't. The rest of these questions are from Jara. If Illumina can reshape Imaginary World according to her will, is there anything to stop her from just making Void and Lumina separate entities from herself? Is there any limits to Illumina's powers?
I don't think that's made clear, but I don't see why not. I mean, it's dreams. Anything can happen under dream.
In the night, dream delight.
I can imagine her having memories from being Lumina, wanted to hang out with her friends, but it's kind of weird now because she's Illumina. So just boop, make Lumina again.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Perfect. Do robots dream of electric sheep? Assuming the robots/artificial characters were capable of dreaming, what would their reactions be to a place like Imaginary World, the existence of precious stones, or beings such as Void and Lumina?
I'm sorry, you asked that, and the first thing I think of is Omega trying to get to sleep. Oh, you should try counting sheep. Counting. 1, bang. 2, bang. 3, bang.
No!
4, bang.
When they get to the top of the arc over the fence.
Yes.
And it worked. It works.
But do they dream? I don't think so. I think they are limited to their own processors, and they are lifelike, but not like fully soulful creatures. But then you get into stuff like Shadow, who's like artificially created but still biological, and then you get the androids. It's like, how accurate are they? Does Shadow dream? Can the android dream? I don't know. That is a tangled mess, and the more I look at it, the scarier it gets. It's a fascinating concept, absolutely. I'm going to back away slowly from that one. That needs a lot more consideration and time and thought and possible utilization.
Well, if this shows up in a future issue, you'll know. You'll know. When playing Sonic Shuffle, it's hard not to notice that Lumina is very, very tiny compared to Sonic, practically fairy-sized. So on that note, what would it be like if Lumina just started following Sonic around all the time and telling him to, hey, listen, and when to watch out?
Let's see how fast Lumina can fly. Because Sonic's going to be going real fast. You don't need no cards or board games. He's getting away from that noise. Except it's a dream, so you can never outrun anything in a dream. She'd be right there.
Damn it.
Chris, if she's a dream entity, she could be any size as well, I would imagine.
She's just small because she likes to be small?
I mean, to be fair, if I could be a tiny flitting fey creature for a time, that'd be neat.
Yeah. Maybe.
I would invariably run into my ceiling fan or get eaten by a cat, but for a time, it would be kind of fun.
Get the fly swatter. Ian's buzzing around again.
Kyle, listen. Hey, look. Kyle, listen. Record. Kyle.
Whap. In an earlier BumbleKast, you said that the Phantom Ruby was lost to the Void. This left me to wonder, what is Void doing with the Phantom Ruby? What madness comes of Void with such power?
Waka, waka, waka.
Wah, wah, wah.
And not the Void of Prime and not the Void of Sat AM, just the general Void, the metaphysical Void, the term Void. It's gone away and somewhere else. Now, Void having the Phantom Ruby
sounds terrifying.
Seems kind of redundant.
But also, yeah.
Void was commanding the nightmares of Imaginary Realm. So whatever they?
I thought Void was... I was under the impression Void was he, but I could be wrong on that. Go with they.
Okay, Void, already was basically doing what the Phantom Ruby does. So, shrug emoji.
Oh. It'd be like knights. They're just gender neutral. That's fine. For funsies, what if Lumina had recruited the Diamond Cutters, Lanolin, Tangle, Whisper, and whomever you want to include to round out the team, to help her instead of Sonic and Friends? Would that change anything? What dreams/nightmares would manifest for them? How would they react to Void?
Let's see. Whisper? Yeah, she's got plenty of nightmares.
Oh.
But she also has a variable wisp on, so, nightmares can be dealt with at range now. They're no longer, just in her head. They're out there. That makes them easier to deal with. Bang, bang.
You can shoot them in the face, yeah.
Lanolin her nightmares would be like every worst case scenario possible. Like they're playing this board game reality, and she's like, what if the tiles fall away? And Lumina's like, they don't. That's not how it works. And then they start falling away. Thanks, Lanolin. Calm down.
Poor Lanny. Oh.
And Tangle would be like the brute force method to get through everything. Like Void is having the hardest time conjuring something to mess with her. Are you afraid of heights? No. Okay, you're afraid of enclosed spaces, but you busted out. Okay. You're afraid of losing your friends. Well, you just keep reaching through the fog until you find them. what just makes you give up? And she's like, nothing. Because I don't know any better, which is to say I know better. Or is it the other way around? Anyway, give me them precious stones. Like she is the beacon of light that drags the other two through.
Maybe. What if she lost her tail, though? Is that a nightmare for her?
She wouldn't be happy about it, but she just gives her more impetus to beat the snot out of Void. Give it back, give it back, give it back, give it back.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's one way to do it.
I mean, she'd all be about pummeling this jerk that's causing such misery for everybody else. And then you learn the tragic backstory. It's like, oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Punch.
Yeah.
Give it back.
You just going with those three, or?
Yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah, makes sense. And the last question from Zara. As I was about to send out my questions, I was awestruck to see the reveal for Sonic Dream Team, a game about a machine that manifests dreams into reality, written by one Ian Flynn. My initial thought was to wonder if the Isekai calendar story from Sega was teasing this eventual reveal. My following thought was to wonder how this ties into Sonic Shuffle and Imaginary World. Is there any connection in any way, shape, or form? Was Imaginary World brought up when this story was dreamed into being? What are the odds that we will see Void and Lumina pop up in Sonic Dream Team?
Not to get too spoilery, because as of this recording, the game just came out.
Yeah.
And while, clearly there are dots to connect there, I think that there's room to investigate that and possibly follow up. But for now, I think Dream Team stands on its own by its own merits.
Alrighty. Well, that's going to do it for this BumbleKast Mini.
Thanks to Jar for sponsoring it. If you want a BumbleKast Mini of your own, head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or become a YouTube member. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and sweet dreams.